My name is Nicholas Skunda, and this is my video presentation on my research paper, Help or Harm, a dive into multi-factor authentication. First things first, let's talk about what is multi-factor authentication. Well, it is a set of programs, sometimes also referred to as two-factor authentication, that is designed to put extra security onto an account by making any login attempt made to that account need one extra layer of security, typically involving a cell phone or another device, validating that login attempt. This has been a new program that has been consistently rolled out by tech companies over the past several years and has been a divisive topic on security, usability, and being a general pain for people to have to use, is the consensus. However, in this paper, I want to take a look at, is multi-factor authentication actually helpful? Does it require significant education to set up in the first place and use? Is it worth it when we are talking about older adults and what problems it can cause as far as usability goes? Where the intersection is of these topics and how they affect each other, some of the tangible pros and cons of the programs, and how can they be solved? The main arguments I found throughout researching these topics is that ubiquitously, multi-factor authentication secures accounts in a very, very strong way. I think it was a 99.67% increase in security in accounts being secured. It was very strong as far as a security measure goes, because you need to have that second device there. It makes invalid logins or not real logins almost impossible to actually execute. One of the other problems, though, is that the setup can be quite difficult at times, especially for older adults who might not carry around these second devices all of the time. Another main finding that I found is that older adults are not consistently thought of and taken into account when these programs are being designed. And that multi-factor authentication directly affects usability, not just for older adults, but for the entire user base. It creates another burden, another hurdle for the person to go through in order to access their account. And while younger generations might have an easier time hopping over this hurdle because of more quote unquote generalized tech literacy, older adults are more negatively impacted than the younger generations. Usability is something that I've talked about extensively already and have done in my paper. Usability is consistently ranked very, very high by older adults. Pardon me. When it comes to metrics that affect how they engage with the technology around them. It is one of, if not the most important thing that it comes down to. They want streamlined interfaces. They want easy logins. They want things to make their lives easier, not harder. And multi-factor authentication, while it does increase their security, seems to have a somewhat negative general overview and opinion from the older adults that have to use it. One of the studies directly stated that multi-factor authentication was a point of pain for many older adults, as they felt it was cumbersome and not intuitive to use and set up. What was gained from this study for myself? Well, there is a significant increase in security when these programs are implemented. That is an unarguable point that I found. However, there is also a need for usability to be more considered and thought of when these programs are being rolled out. There's also a need to advocate for older adults and their needs being considered in the design process, and they are not always having that. Thankfully, something else that was learned in this course overall is that advocacy for older adults is in fact happening and is more robust than I previously thought. Overall, what was learned through this study is that there is in fact a significant increase in security and efficacy in logins that multi-factor authentication helps. It clearly secures accounts better when it is implemented. However, the usability is a problem, especially for older adults. To combat this, at the end of my findings, I would like to suggest that multi-factor authentication be an opt-in kind of security measure that is given as an option to anyone of a user base instead of being something that is blanketly rolled out. This would help with usability while also keeping security high. I do not think this is something that would be very difficult for these tech companies to do and would greatly increase their usability on their platforms. Thank you for listening. I look forward to your thoughts.